Today is April 9th, 2026, giving you guys your daily or three news. For today's news status, Thomas Mahler gives his opinion on console exclusivity. This person going by the name of Music Orphan says, do you still feel as strongly about games losing exclusivity being the path to success? Thomas Mahler responds to this by saying, of course, what does a developer gain from being exclusive to a particular console? What does the gaming community at large gain from that? Nothing really. You just ensure that only a fraction of your potential audience can now play your game. I understand that tricks like that make a lot of sense if you're trying to sell hardware, since you're gatekeeping good content and so you're essentially forcing people into buying your hardware. But my argument will still be, if that's what you have to do to get people to buy your hardware, maybe your hardware isn't unique / interesting enough by itself. For example, I pitched a controller concept to Microsoft a while ago that allowed people to play first-person shooter games in a much more intuitive way than the current thing of using the right analog stick to aim, which is historically a pretty bad way to aim. I mean, mouse aim still beats that way of input, even though a mouse was never designed for first-person shooter games in the first place, so that should tell us something. So if you get something like that, like, quote, if I buy this box as a fan of first-person shooter games to control way more intuitively than on any of these other boxes, that make purchase that box instead of another. I think on the hardware side, we need to see more of that. More of a, quote, oh, I'll buy that box because it plays my games better and the games are more fun on it. Instead of, oh, I'll buy that box because it's the only box that allows me to play X or Y game. That's why Nintendo used to completely design their consoles around the new input device they came up with, because they historically understood that the control design is arguably even more important than the box itself, since it defines how you interact with the games on the platform in the first place. Point being, if gatekeeping is the only way you see to sell your hardware simply isn't enticing enough. Now, even though by technicality this isn't really news, given the sense that this is Thomas Mahler's opinion when it comes to console exclusivity, when it comes to PlayStation and Xbox games, he really has a point. When it comes to the PlayStation fans like myself that want Ori to go to PlayStation, it's honestly a waste of money when you have to buy a certain console just to play the said game instead of letting it become more available so that other people can play it. Everybody else has their different preference to play the games of these said buttons that they like pressing. Now, even though I'm not trying to be like a theorist in the sense that Thomas Mahler has said this take without any coincidence, does this give a hint that Ori is going to be ported to PlayStation with the upcoming PlayStation State of Play that is rumored to come on April 16th? We honestly don't know. However, we'll have to wait and see. And that is going to conclude for our daily Ori 3 news. If you guys did enjoy this episode of Daily Ori 3 News and want to send your own submission, send it to me on my Discord and you'll be featured on our next episode. That's going to be it, and I'll be seeing you all next time.